They called him skinny, too fragile, too quiet. But Joao Pedro didn't care what they called him. Because while others were talking, he was grinding. While others were doubting, he was dreaming. And today, from the dusty streets of Ribeirão Preto in Brazil to the bright lights of Stamford Bridge, he's living the dream most kids only imagine. This is the remarkable story of Joao Pedro, a journey built on resilience, talent, and total dedication to the game. Born in September 2001 in southeastern Brazil, Joao Pedro grew up in a football-obsessed nation. Like most Brazilian kids, the ball was his first toy. But his story wasn't set in the beaches of Rio or the wealthier suburbs of São Paulo. It was grounded in humble beginnings, where money was tight, and sacrifice was a daily reality. His father, Joao Carlos, was a footballer too, though he never reached the heights his son would go on to achieve. Still, he played a crucial role, passing down the love for the game and guiding Joao through every early challenge. From an early age, Joao stood out, not because of flashy skills or brute strength, but because of how he saw the game. Coaches remember how he moved into space before defenders knew it existed, how his touch was light but lethal, and how he never panicked in front of goal. At just 10 years old, he was recruited by Fluminense's academy, one of Brazil's top talent factories. But even there, nothing came easy. He had to fight for his spot every single day. It's easy to forget now, but Joao Pedro wasn't always destined for stardom. At times he was overlooked for being too lean, too quiet, or too low profile. But what he lacked in physicality, he made up for in intelligence. He trained harder than anyone, studied the game obsessively, and refused to be outworked. In 2018, at just 17, Fluminense announced that Joao Pedro would be heading to England to join Watford. It was a surprising move at the time. He hadn't even made his full professional debut. Critics questioned whether a young Brazilian forward, untested at the senior level, could make it in English football. But Joao took that challenge personally. By January 2020, after turning 18, he officially joined Watford. The Championship isn't a kind place for young flair players. It's fast, physical, and unforgiving. And Joao Pedro had to adapt quickly. But instead of folding under pressure, he evolved. He bulked up. He sharpened his decision-making. And above all, he worked tirelessly on his game. In the 2020-21 season, Joao began showing flashes of brilliance. The raw talent was there, but now it was being refined with experience. He helped Watford earn promotion to the Premier League and continued to grow into a leadership role at just 19. By the 2022-23 season, he had become Watford's most important player, scoring goals, creating chances, and leading from the front. Then came 2023. Brighton, one of the Premier League's smartest clubs when it comes to spotting rising talent, made their move. They signed Joao Pedro for a club record fee, signaling just how highly they rated him. It was a risk for both sides, Brighton betting on his potential, and Joao stepping up to a higher level of competition. But it paid off almost instantly. At Brighton, Joao Pedro flourished under Roberto De Zerbi's system, which emphasized fluid attacking play and intelligent movement. Joao found his rhythm. He played across the front line, drifting between central striker and attacking midfield roles. His work rate, combined with his technical skill and eye for goal, made him a nightmare for defenders. In his debut Premier League season with Brighton, Joao delivered 19 goals and 9 assists across all competitions. He wasn't just productive, he was electrifying. His performances in big games turned heads, and it wasn't long before the top clubs came calling. Chelsea had been watching closely, and in the summer of 2025, they finally pulled the trigger, paying up to £60 million to bring him to Stamford Bridge. For Brighton, it was a record-breaking sale. For Chelsea, it was a statement of intent. Joao Pedro didn't need time to settle. Within days of signing, he was registered for Chelsea's Club World Cup squad. Just 2 days later, he made his debut, coming off the bench in a 2-1 win over Palmeiras. Then came the moment that made it clear he had arrived. In the semi-final, against his boyhood club Fluminense, Joao scored twice. He didn't celebrate, out of respect for the club that gave him his start. But Chelsea fans took note. This wasn't just a talent. This was a player with maturity, class, and a killer instinct. Now, in Chelsea blue, Joao Pedro has everything he's ever worked for, and the pressure that comes with it. The Premier League spotlight is brighter than ever. The expectations are sky high, but Joao thrives in that environment. He always has. He's more than a goal scorer. He's a link-up player, a creator, and a relentless presser. He brings Brazilian flair with English discipline. He plays with joy, but also with intensity. And whether he's coming deep to collect the ball or making a late run into the box, he always looks like a threat. At just 23, Joao Pedro is still evolving. But what makes his journey so compelling isn't just the goals or the transfer fees. It's the mindset. He's never been handed anything. He's had to earn every chance, prove every doubter wrong, and overcome every obstacle in his path. From the cracked concrete pitches of Ribeirão Preto to the global stage with Chelsea, Joao Pedro's rise is a lesson in patience, persistence, and purpose. He could have faded out at Fluminense. He could have stalled at Watford. He could have crumbled under the weight of a record transfer fee. But instead, he kept climbing. And now, as Chelsea look to rebuild under a new era, Joao Pedro is right at the heart of it. A forward with intelligence, a leader with humility, and a player whose best days are still to come. Because legends aren't born, they're built. And Stamford Bridge might just be watching the next one in the making.